What's up? Welcome back to Corner Balance. It's been a long time. So as you guys saw in the very beginning of the video, I finally got myself a new car. In the past 6 months, I spent my time removing myself from the car game. I didn't want to, even look at cars that much. I didn't want to think about buying a car, none of that stuff. Because I wanted to really spend that time sort of being introspective. I didn't want to repeat, again, the same type of stuff that I've been doing in the past. I didn't want to do the same old thing and go through the same type of experiences, because the definition of insanity is like, doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. I want to break that mold, right? Because I felt like in the past I was doing some of that. So with that said, after that metaphorical traversing of that soul-searching desert, that shamanic journey, I basically came back home with 3 new things. One was a newfound perspective in terms of understanding exactly where I've been and where I need to go in terms of cars. And the second thing was that stemmed off of that was a very convicted and calculated choice in terms of what car that I actually want for myself. What car should I actually buy, right? Something that wasn't influenced by, I guess, societal trends, something that wasn't influenced by other people, none of that. It had to be a choice that I could stand behind. And again, something that's closer to my end goal, end state example. And the third thing that came back was this new headband. So speaking of this headband, no, I did not join like a CrossFit gym or anything like that. I'm using this quarantine time to essentially try and grow out my hair. And it's in this super awkward phase right now. I don't know what to do with it. I'm not even sure if I'm wearing this headband correctly. So just really quick, I wanted to touch on something historical because there is a motif that I'm trying to express here with this video. So back in 2012, I was stuck between making a decision in terms of what car to buy at that time as well. And it was either between a FD-RX-7 or a 964 911 Porsche. The Porsche at the time was really cheap. I mean, they did not skyrocket to the prices that they are today. So I definitely missed the boat because I ended up making the choice in favor of the RX-7. I modified the hell out of it for no good reason, I guess, at the end of it because, ultimately I sold the car. And I think I would have been a lot happier and I would have been a lot closer to where I am today if I just bought that Porsche. And one of the reasons why I didn't buy, this car behind me sooner, although even deep down inside I always wanted this car, is because of that 2012 choice that I made way back in the day. That thing was always like eating at me. I was like, man, why didn't I just buy that 964 in the beginning? Now look at the prices. So I mean, given the fact that these cars are not getting any cheaper, I may as well just get in now and not continue to live in regret and finally just make the right choice, because that alone is going to pay dividends. Me going through this entire cycle of trying to find substitutes for this car was even more costly than if I were to just buy this car, even at its premium or whatever today, relative to 2012, and just get it over with, because I wasted a lot of time. I spent a lot of time going down the path that I did to get to even where I am today, when I think honestly I could have gotten to this state a lot sooner in the past if I just made the right choice in the beginning, right? So that's what I'm putting out there. The car choice that you make is imperative. I mean, these are pretty sizable investments, they're pretty significant, but they're even more significant in terms of the time that you're ultimately going to put into them. And if you're not going to be happy with a car, you're never going to stay with that car, right? And the whole game that I was playing, like, just modifying cars left and right, every car that I would buy I would modify because I thought it would be cool to be different on the streets. I think that was pretty dumb too. Like, you don't have to modify a good car. And the whole superficial notion that, you want to be different, you want to stand out, you want to be unique, you want to have something that's specialized and that you did with your own hands. That's the whole built not bought thing. That's kind of like a egocentric type of, idea, in my opinion. No one really cares that you even have the car that you have, right? Let's be honest, they're just material things. So let's not get too caught up in that. And I especially knew for myself that I need to step away from that type of stuff. And to do that, I needed to find a car that was truly good out of the box. And again, everything points back to the Porsche. But anyway, let's take a look at this car. All right, so here it is. This is a 1998 Porsche 911 Carrera 2S, the 993 generation, or as they say it, the last of the air-cooled. And I'll get to some of the details in just a second, but I want to give you guys a quick walk around. And I apologize for the, kind of crappy garage setup here, and also for the fact that this door is closed, but I don't want to kind of film at night and have my neighbor across the street watch me as I'm doing this, because that's kind of weird. So hopefully you guys can make out some of the details here. But this is a Arctic Silver on black interior with about 50,000 miles on it. And 1998 is the very last year of the 993. And I was also very specific in terms of wanting that year, just because, you know, I wanted the latest year possible, and also just to have that final run or production run or whatever. So in terms of how I found this car, it's pretty interesting. The finding process was basically immediate. Once I made up my mind that, okay, yes, I wanted a 993, I basically went to Renlist, the forums. I saw somebody made a want to buy ad for their own 993, and the seller, previous owner of this car, posted in that thread. He's like, hey, I have this Arctic Silver 50,000 mile 993 Carrera 2S for sale if you're interested. But at the time, the guy who made that want to buy post already found his own car. He found like a red one or something like that. So I signed up. I PM'd the guy who made the post about this car. I'm like, hey, I saw you posting this other guy's thread that you had this car. Would love to learn about it. It was basically exactly what I was looking for, like in terms of the spec and package and color combo and everything. Again, I was looking for specifically in 98. I also specifically wanted this Arctic Silver. And of course I wanted it in black because I don't like, you know, tan interiors or colored interiors like that. But I held off because of two things. One, the price was really, really expensive. And then two, I wanted to also do my due diligence to see if I can find a cheaper car, and also to see if there was another better example possibly that I could find. So after realizing how hard it is to find another car like this, I decided to just up my budget and buy this one and get it done. So I was actually going up to Seattle where this car was located originally. Anyway for something else. So I flew up there and actually drove this thing back down to California in one go. Let's go ahead and walk through some of the details. Starting right here, you can see that these wheels are the infamous turbo twists, and they also came in two different types of construction. One was the solid spokes, which are heavier, and the more sought after version are these ones, the technology hollow spokes, which are much lighter. And then being that this is a C2S, I didn't want like a C4S because I didn't want all-wheel drive. I didn't want a turbo because that's also, you know, there's a lot of overhead that I didn't want. I didn't want a turbo car. I wanted NA. I wanted rear-wheel drive. So it had to be a 2S because I also wanted a wide-body 993. So all the S models for the 993s share the exact same wide-body rears as the turbo model, except of course they're NA. And really the C2S is the best of all worlds in my opinion. You can kind of tell here from this view that it is indeed a great deal wider, right? I mean, even the narrow body, so to speak, the non-S 993s are pretty wide. I think I read somewhere that the narrow body 993s are actually wider than the 930 turbos back in the 80s and 70s. So that kind of shows you how curvy and wide these cars have grown. But the S models are especially wide. You can kind of see again from this hip right here. So yeah, having these turbo twists was great. I love these wheels. I actually don't plan on changing these wheels to aftermarket. I'm going to keep them. But I do want to dial in the ride height and maybe space them out a little bit because right now it's a little bit funky. It's not totally level in my opinion. It could go a little bit lower as well. So I'm going to work on that next. But luckily I can do that because this car also comes with Bilstein PSS 10 coilovers. Another bonus that this car came with is this entire front end, from the bulkhead back, the fenders, you know, this top part right here, the hood, the bumper obviously, the headlights, they're all wrapped in Expel Ultimate Plus PPF that the previous owner had done, which was awesome. One thing that I did recently, or just the last weekend, is I finally installed these Turbo S ducts in the front. So I actually had to get these painted 3 times because every single time I found something that wasn't perfect with the paint. Found some paint dust, weirdness like that. But they're finally installed. I also installed these OEM ambers because the car came with some clears. So I have those tucked away in some boxes in the back. This car does need a few things in my opinion to dial it in, which I'll keep you guys posted on. But overall, I'm going for that OEM Plus period correct look with this car. Like truly, this car does not need a lot. Just needs some fine details, which is exactly in my age, in my time right now, how I want to deal with cars. And oh yeah, another thing that's unique to the C2S specifically, aside from being the only variant that is NA, rear-wheel drive, and wide body, is this split grille at the rear. Only the C2S has had that, and that's such a timeless look right there. I mean, a lot of people I think like these cars with wings and stuff like that, but I am definitely not going to mess with these split grills. I love this wingless look. Just that crazy slope from the, top of the windshield all the way back down to the back bumper. That is so classy. That is quintessential 911 right there. So actually another major thing that this thing came with as a bonus, or not really a bonus because I still ended up paying for it in the price, but it came with hardback 993 OEM sports seats. And they look like this. Fully OEM leather, which is great because you usually find these either recovered or you find like the 996 sports seats, which are similar, but they're not the same. So the 993 sports seats, like this one, has a different, leather setup. It's a little bit, it doesn't have ribs like the 996 ones does. And also has better, deeper bolsters than the 996 Sportback, hardback, whatever seats. And of course, they come with, as the name suggests, hardbacks. And the previous owner made a really great touch in terms of paint matching the backs of these seats to the exterior car color. And just to give you an idea, these seats usually go for about $5,000 to $7,000 depending on its condition and OEMness, I guess, on the market. Now let's take a look inside this interior. So I recently installed this. This is a brand new PCCM Porsche Classic radio. Its CarPlay just came out. I installed that a few weeks ago as well. So of course it's a 6-speed. It has the hi-fi sound package with the additional speakers right here, or the bigger speakers. Very clean dash. That's my dog. Yeah, just a super clean car. I mean, that's the main reason why I had to make that choice. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not like a collector's type of car because, again, it does have 50,000 miles on it. It doesn't have like, 15,000 miles, but it's in good shape, Interior is super clean, well-maintained car, and that I think is worth the price of entry. So that is a look at my, my new to me 911. Super stoked to have this. Finally, I want to really break the chain of having to buy a car, sell it, buy a car, sell it, because again, that's dumb. If you like something, keep it. Be committed to something.